Hi, welcome to Encouragement for Today. I'm Pastor Emily. Today I want to talk about welcoming and serving. Last night in our small group study, we looked at a passage where the disciples, they're arguing about who's the greatest as they walk along the road. And Jesus, he later asked them, "What were you fighting about?" And nobody says anything. It's interesting that Jesus doesn't scold them. He chooses a question, which I think we can learn from. And then when nobody answers, he sits them down and he teaches them in a way that shows he knew what they were fighting about all along. He says, "Anyone who wants to be first must be the very last and the servant of all." So Jesus is flipping their thought process about what it means to be greatest. It's not about having the most power or prestige. It's about learning to find value in serving and loving neighbor. And then Jesus takes it further. He brings a little child among them, and he takes the child in his arms. Then he says to them, "Whoever welcomes one of these little children in my name welcomes me. And whoever welcomes me does not welcome me, but the one who sent me." So he's saying here, if you welcome a child, you welcome God. So we thought about what is it about a child that made Jesus say that? Particularly in his day and age, maybe children, they didn't have a whole lot of power. They might have been shoved aside or forgotten at times in especially a context of young men that are trying to be powerful. Jesus, he's reorienting the way that they see the world and others. There are other passages too in the Bible where Jesus is getting us to think about welcoming others is to welcome God, to visit prisoners, to feed the hungry. These acts, they're acts of welcoming Jesus. We talked about what's a common element between welcoming and serving. And I thought for either, you've got to think about what's going on in the other person. So if I'm going to welcome another, I'm thinking, what's their experience like? How can I help them feel more comfortable? If I'm going to serve somebody else, I'm not just thinking about what I want. I'm looking at what are their wants and needs and how can I help meet them? So it gets us outside of ourselves and looking at other experiences in the world. So how can we serve? How can we welcome in our family, in our workplace, in the communities where we show up? How can we welcome and serve as if we are welcoming and serving Jesus? We'll talk to you again soon.